My name is Carlin. Welcome to my channel. Disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer. Things you see me doing in my videos are probably not the best way you could do things. Sometimes I know better. Sometimes I will eventually learn about a better way. I don't go out of my way to be dangerous though. So, if you see something, go ahead and mention it in the comments. I really do like the following sayings, even though they probably are cliché. Do what you can with what you have where you are. And from the military mindset, improvise, adapt, and overcome. Or, more recently, something I've been using a lot, fabricate or die. With all that said, the following video is a record of how I did something. You probably can do better. It's not my job to be here telling you how to do something, okay? You have been warned. On with the show. The old NICAD drill, 18 volts, but it's got torque. Cool. All right, now. Boom. That should make a nice shelf. Yeah, I'm running out of screws, wire, you know, everything. It's so annoying. This, you know, there are so many days where I got a project in mind, and then I'm like, one, do I have enough, and two, can I find it? That's the other question. You know, that's... All right, we're kind of working this in stages. So this has got the shelf brackets in place. That'll come out to about here. So I'm not going to put the next bracket on because I'm only going to put a 4-foot shelf up there. I had the tools sitting on the doorstep just to warm up the batteries because they literally were not working because they were so cold. So I've got, when I bought the insulation, that's a 12-pack. That was actually heavier than I could pick up in the store to get it on the cart. I had to ask some guy walking past, hey, can you give me a hand? Because it was awkward. I mean, it wasn't super heavy. It was just awkward to get a grab on, right? So my understanding is this should just kind of press fit in, or it would if these were at the right distance apart. They're apparently not. Yeah. going well. It's just kind of, it seems slow and fiddly, but I think, you know, once I get moving, it's better. Like this corner was a little bit awkward. It's not that big of a deal to cut around these. I just cut a little notch out. And then if I see a gap, I just got a pile of scraps down here. I'll just grab a little wad and shove it in the gap and then keep moving. So it's not too bad. Oh yeah, I should introduce this segment. Ah! So these rolls are apparently 10 feet by 25 feet. There's sections of this that I don't even know what questions to ask, kind of thing. All right, back to tunes. I forget, was it 2 or 3 days ago I built these shelves? Had everything on them. I was like, okay, let's go ahead and take them out so we can do the insulation now. But they're easy to take apart, so that works good. This insulation is slightly compressed, or actually a lot compressed when it's in the bulk pack. It's banded together. When you pop the band, it just goes spoing. So I let go of it when I cut it, and it rolled all the way out to there. I was like, stop, you rat. So this is one section. That should be 2 more sections with some leftover. This would be a good time to sweep, I guess, too. So I got the French cleats down. Obviously the shelves are out. I almost forget that I've got plug-ins down here, although I guess I was using them. They're just out of sight, out of mind. And, oh yeah, right. Everything else. So, obviously the bed is a perfect place to put everything, so this worked out pretty well. I was able to, that's 2 monitors there folded towards each other, and I was able to hold them with one hand and loosen up the clamp with the other and just take the whole thing out in one piece. So that saves having to reattach them to the brackets and everything. Little stuff like that. East wall is done. The top is plasticed, the bottom is not. I'm going to wait, and hopefully I got a scrap that's big enough to cover that. Because I don't want to cut into this, is a brand new roll here, so I'm just kind of laying it out. But This is going to be a little tougher than it was over there, right? Because I've got like double sets of shelves here, plus the plugins to cut around. But plugins aren't a big deal. I'll deal with them later, actually. I'm just going to go right over them and then cut them out after. I'm not there yet, but this is going better than I expected. So what I did is I left myself a couple 3 inches at the top, went all the way along. I clamped it first just to hold the slack, and then I went back and forth a few times. So I used the clamps to hold it up to the ceiling to get it in the right area. And then I came back to this corner, give myself about 2-inch gap, something like that, whatever. Bop, 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 come across, keep moving the stool, right? Just keep going across. And try to keep that more or less the same gap all the way across. So I had a little bit of a stick up, whatever you want to call it, extra at the top, right? I just kind of looked at where each one was and took the knife, just did a quick zip down it. And then I took the scissors because that was easier. Just kind of over sliced it a little bit, pushed each one down as I went, and then I did the same on the bottom one. Again, slice with the knife. And I'm like, okay, it's a little bit off one way or the other, but whatever, right? Don't really care. So at this point, I'm just like, get it done. Don't care. But that's going well. But the other problem is I'm going to probably run out of staples before I run out of insulation, right? The first side I did a bunch of staples, then I'm like, oh wait, slow down. And then I remembered I had these ones that are working just fine with the staple gun, so I wasn't sure if they would or not. But yeah, you can blow through staples pretty fast when it's an air stapler. So, all right, 4 o'clock. Seems like quitting time. Just as an experiment or something on this edge, because I did have an air gap underneath the wall. Yeah, that's about the time I realized I had some serious problems on this end of the house. Anyway, so I stapled the plastic to the floor along the edge. That'll slow the whistle down a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, so this side is done up until that shelf, and that's a good place to stop. The insulation will be nice. I'm trying to just stay positive. I guess in my mind, the money spent versus $15 for propane is what's one of the sticking points. I hadn't really thought of it that way before. But I could wear my jacket and burn a little bit of propane, and it's going to be a long freaking time to break even on what the insulation is costing me. Yeah. Anyway, by far the absolute worst part of this project is putting everything back together, which is why I put off this for so long. Smart. Yep, they're there. I made some marks where they were last time, so I wasn't sure they were in the right spot. This many monitors living off grid, but anyway, I did not mark this one. When I was in the bus, I had my camera mounted on one of these, which worked out really nicely, because then I could move it around. I never did that over here. Okay. Here's one of the key improvements here. This line of studs, brackets, whatever, there's going to be an 8-inch shelf running across that, but I left some of them too long on purpose, and that'll be my headphone hangers now. Because, you know, you need 3 sets of headphones for some reason. A lot of commitment, I think, to just say, okay, because I know when I started this that I was going to not only make it worse, but set myself back probably a week or two. But these I think are going to be good, because you know I got one more spot to put things, so I think that'll be all right. Getting ready to start the next day. I've moved everything off of that shelf, so the next thing is just to move the shelf temporarily. We'll do 3 sections. That's, 3/4 of a roll, 1 roll. And this insulation, it's R13 for 4-inch or 2x4 walls. 1 roll will do 4 sections, and so there's 3 sections there. So the next section will go into the next part, right? And then this will be done. And then we go back and do the rest of it, right? I'm just kind of noticing it is windy outside. I do think that the insulation is absorbing some of the noise. I know people are going to ask, oh, how much better is it? Because everybody's so excited for me to do insulation. I am probably the least excited about the insulation of anything ever. But I'm trying to pay attention to see, does it really make a huge amount of difference or not? Because when I go to do the bus, that's one of the things I'm also going to do. I bought extra insulation so that I could insulate the bus. And I'm just kind of noticing now, do I think it's going to make a huge difference or not? I know it will. And I've already paid for it, so I might as well do it, kind of thing. There's a chance that parts of the bus will end up turning out nicer than what I'll do in here. There's a possibility. It's just kind of funny. But the idea is, instead of measuring each one, literally benchmark, right? Come out to the mark. Now you don't have to measure. Okay, so you got these wrinkles, right? This happens more towards the middle of the roll. The outer part of the roll doesn't do this, so I don't know if they're rolling it too soon or what's happening. The glue is bunching it up. But if you put your hand on one side and grab it firmly with the other so you don't tear the paper, stretch these out. That way it'll lay nice and flat when you put it in the wall. Otherwise it's all bunchy, right? Also, now you got about 4 inches back that was lost. Okay. At the end of the roll, that becomes important because now your roll is 4 inches longer. Right? So you get all these wrinkles out. I was using scissors the first day because I couldn't find my good knife. I'm leaving myself a little bit of board to cut on, so I'm not cutting right over the edge. Got a decent knife now. Stick the blade out a little bit. Use your framing square, push it down. Now instead of cutting through 3.5 inches worth of fiberglass, I'm cutting through this much. And I should be able to do it in one pass if I get good down pressure. That one's catching. Still not the best blade. Most of that cut though. Okay, now you get a nice clean cut. Okay. It's fluffing up. Okay, we're kind of in a weird shadow. So that's almost full thickness already. In the packaging or somewhere it says, yeah, you should fluff it a little bit before you put it in. It's going to fluff on its own anyway. But here, that's a whole another 8 feet worth, but it's all packed in really tight. 11:30 and the house section is done. Gently. Now we got something. So let's see. Yeah, there's going to be some serious chaos here for the rest of my life. It feels like you do this much moving all at the same time. All right, couple minutes really. I was nuking lunch. Move these out, roll them all out on the cart. Things like my benches were made to fit totes underneath, so drop some down there and some up here. Now this guy's empty. I'm trying to be careful because I never did put a back on here, so it could flippity flop on me. This one was a little lighter than the other one was. is really blowing today. Something I have considered and I have not yet done, anchoring these to the wall would probably be a good idea. Could happen someday. Once you get a load on them, they're not too bad though. Also, I have moved a few things out of here. Like this one's camping gear, and I think there's another one down there somewhere. Here for now. Stuff like this just ends up being on the end of one of the shelves because it's easier to find. So from the shop, and I guess I could say there was some planning. By putting the storage between the shop and the house, I can use it like there's a whole bunch of screws in here, right? So I can have less stuff in the shop, be able to work in the shop, and then grab things as I need them. What I may do is kind of go at this a little bit slower today. It is freaking hot. I don't know how that happened. I was freezing my butt off a couple days ago. Now it's just, I'm right on the edge of sweating, which for the last, oh yeah, this is, whatever you call it, leap year day or whatever, 29th of February. And it's hot. Why is it hot today? It was so cold a couple days ago, you know, like, yeah. The first day I did insulation, I also did laundry, and I had to wait till 11 o'clock for the water to thaw because it froze. And now it's hot. It's just not right. Really good grab on it. There we go. And we've got an extra 6 inches out of that. Alright, so I've got a mark on the bench here. Under the plastic, you probably can't see it, but now as long as I'm sort of sitting flat, and I'll end up cutting through the plastic a bunch of times. Also, I knew I had a new knife, I just couldn't remember where, so I happened to find it last night, looking for something else. Nothing is where it's supposed to be at. Always seems to have trouble starting. Once you get going, you're good. There you go. So, that one actually clicks like it's supposed to. Okay, the plan is, yeah, the workbench is empty, so I can move it out of the way. The other workbench is out of the way. I wanted to be able to push the first workbench back into the corner, which would be just out of view. It's now full of stuff and in the middle of the floor. Because they're so close, I can't slide one past the other, basically. So I'm gonna have to, is it Chinese checkers? What's that? No, the tile game. Chinese puzzle with the pile. You got one open spot and you can move one tile at a time. No, like the opposite of Tetris, basically. Anyway, that part's going well. Stuck. I have decided I'm not going to put plastic up in here. Now, again, obviously, this is the worst possible way to do anything. Figure it out. Good. All right. That's you. These holes go all the way through. So that's done. Basically, you paid the money, you don't have the assets anymore. Yes, you do have the stuff you bought, but it's not worth anything unless you can sell it, or at least use it. But if it's sitting there in shrink wraps, what have you got? And we're stuck. Ah. this without maiming myself. Good enough. Okay, that'll work. This is how well it's going. It's only 10:30, but I'm going to stop for a lunch break because I thought I was hungry. Well, I am hungry, but yeah. How about those apples? So, the shop, north wall is done, and I got 2 sections done on the back wall, the west wall already.